These companies are worth upwards of $1 trillion. This is the third installment of this conversation. Greetings and welcome back once again. This is Amuna, and you don't know already. I pray everybody is doing well. We have been reading the lawsuit that two major law firms, one of them is Morgan and Morgan, has come together to sue 11. Last time I said five. That was the article said five, and I repeated it. It was 11 major prepackaged, ultra processed food companies. So we are at point 94 in this lawsuit. It's a long one. So, we got to come up for air, take a breather, have these discussions because I was at the supermarket today and, the chances are that the mass majority of the public do not know this because the stuff they put in their cart is coming from these companies. So let me go ahead and share my screen and then we can go ahead and get into this. Also, let me make sure that I can be heard before I continue. So some of the major companies is Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola. All right, we good. Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola, Nestle, yeah, Mars. They are asserting, so that I can recap it and move forward. They are asserting that these prepackaged foods are to be held companies are to be held responsible for giving their client type 2 diabetes as a child. That's what they're asserting. I have my thoughts. If you missed the first two episodes, you can check those out, but we're going to pick up where we left off for the sake of time. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Share my screen. All right. And here we go. Here we are sharing our screen. Just the mark that I left when we left off, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this because it is insightful. We are at point 94. So they're giving the history of what basically they're putting not big pharma, they're connecting big tobacco and the food industry and making the case that when they were exposed, that to big tobacco infiltrated the food industry and that they did the same tricks that they used to do on one side on the other, which is marketing to children, getting people hooked on their products by using chemicals and things that are highly addictive. So that's what they're asserting, right? Let's continue. In 1985, R.J. Reynolds purchased Nabisco for $4.9 billion and merged it with Del Monte and the other food and beverage brands it had previously acquired throughout the 1960s and 70s. And I have to say that definitely something is going on because anytime I've watched this happen in recent years, that anytime a health food company comes out, one of these big sharks come out and they consume them. So one product was like Bobo's, which is supposed to be a healthy oatmeal snack bar thing. What I found is that it has an inordinate amount of sugar in there when you look at the sugar on the back. So even though it's being touted as being healthy, the person who actually started it, let me see, they sold to General Mills. Okay. I have about 3 anecdotal stories, right? It was started by a woman, I think, and her child. And it actually sold to General Mills. I don't want to say, I'm going to make sure I say it sold to General Mills for, I think it was, I forgot how many $1 million it was sold for, right? And it's not the same. It's not the same. Somebody else who sold out was Larabar. No, maybe I'm thinking about Larabar. My bad. I apologize, Bobo's. Bobo's didn't sell out to my understanding. It was Larabar who sold out to General Mills. And let me get that. Hold on. So what I'm saying is when these companies, hold on for me 1 second. 1 second. So when these companies start up and get some traction, these big companies, much like what we're reading here, these big companies come in and swallow them up. So let me share this. Foods, the maker of Larabar, was acquired by General Mills. The brands will be part of General Mills' Small Planet Foods, which includes Cascadian Farm and Moore Glen. So when you think that it is the same people who started it naturally, that's not what happened. I remember when Larabar was on the scene and doing this thing, right? But now they have been acquired by General Mills and it's the face of it, but you trust and believe whoever is doing it now is cutting corners. Recently, another person who got acquired, and it's this year, they were acquired by, I think it's Pepsi Cola, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, Siete Products for $1.2 billion. PepsiCo entered into a definitive agreement to acquire Gazara Food Ventures, DBA Siete Food, for $1.2 billion. Okay? And you could begin to see that the quality of food, the way it's produced, because now they want to kind of hide behind these brands. There's a lot of brands that's out here today. Naked is one of them. You think it's a holistic brand. I remember when they came out, and it's actually owned by, I think it's either PepsiCo or Coca-Cola, right? So let's go on. Hold on a second. There is actually a list. Naked Juice brand has operated as wholly owned subsidiary of PepsiCo. Okay? And I think they were sued too, by the way, for false advertisement. But my point being, that even for those of us who is trying to move towards a healthier space, you have to be mindful. Prudent Mom, the topic of the discussion tonight, welcome to the conversation. I'm still reading on this lawsuit because there's still more to unpack. And so we're having a health discussion tonight. Each one teach one. And hopefully we can share this far and wide so people who know or don't know can be helped. You know, recently I was on TikTok and I was watching, no, actually it came across my feed, a woman in Jamaica going to the supermarket and I saw nothing but American brands in her cart. And I'm saying, when you start to see as the same issues and ailments that are happening here in America, and you're like, oh, how is it getting to these places? Because now it's the in thing to consume these same, like Legos, like Eggos, Lego. I mean, like, what are y'all eating and why? What are you eating and why? I'll show that for another day. I wasn't ready to show that right now, but yeah, it's spreading, right? But anyway, let's continue. So he's saying that this is not new, okay? That in 85, R.J. Reynolds purchased Nabisco, which is the cookie, which among other things was the Oreo cookie people, for $4.9 billion. Imagine that you purchased them for that much in 1985 and merged it with Del Monte and the other food and beverage brands it had previously acquired throughout the 1960s and 70s. In order to help finance the acquisition of Nabisco, R.J. Reynolds sold Kentucky Fried Chicken to PepsiCo for $850 million. I didn't even know that. I do know that Kentucky Fried Chicken ain't been the same since the 80s in America, but I did not know that they sold it to PepsiCo. Did you guys know that? Anywho, 95. This acquisition cemented R.J. Reynolds as a tobacco food behemoth. A 1988 Office memorandum boasting, like, where are they getting this intel from? Somebody came and told. So now it makes sense how, since this time, all of these very highly addictive substances find their ways into food. We don't think this is important. You're like, oh, Mona, this is boring, until somebody is sick, until the children have autism, until the rates of ADHD is off the charts, until stress and anxiety are through the roof, and then we should pray. But along the way, we don't want to educate ourselves on these very important things, right? Anywho, let's continue. We process over this is a quote, 243,000 metric tons of tobacco leaf in the production and licensing of almost 300 billion cigarettes annually throughout the world. They go on to say their domination of the cookie and cracker business is even more obvious. In snack crackers, they are the market. I mean, this big boy bragging. They beating their chests. They beating their chest. Like, yo, in this, we are the market, meaning there's no market. And keep in mind, cookies and crackers are at the front of the line. Like cookies and crackers, please come to the front of the line. They are at the front of the line for the mindless consumption, cookies, crackers, and chips, essentially, of these empty calories that people eat on a daily basis. Because the serving size, you're not just going to eat one or two. More than likely, you're going to eat the whole bag, and you're just hitting your system with nothing but carbs, nothing but empty calories, nothing but sugars, right? And Philip Morris is saying they are them run the team. And for a lot of people, this is very difficult to kick this habit right here. There was somebody who was breaking down what was in Takis. Wait. And I was like, I don't eat those things, but you do see the young children running around eating it. And it's not food, but they're highly addicted to it, right? Hey, hold on a second. Give me 1 second again. All right. 96. A Philip Morris market intelligence report at the time, so this is the 80s, noted that R.J. Reynolds had achieved critical mass in the dry grocery business. That's something to allow no plan. And that R.J. Reynolds' presence in virtually all aisles of the grocery store permits cross-merchandising of brands in different sections of the store and different packaging forms. Meaning, you think that it's all these different brands. It's really, when you look at the fine print all the way at the bottom, it's only these few major people. It's the same people. Putin mom says she stopped her children from eating Takis long time. You know, sadly, that's good, because sadly I saw this little youth that is in New York, and he in the corner store. So the person at the corner store was like, you get good grades, you can get whatever you want. So the little youth run back and say, oh, he made honor roll. So the guy told him, get whichever you want. And then he just proceeds to run through the store, picking up all manner. And the guy is asking him, why are you picking this up? Right? Why are you picking this up? It's not healthy. But more than likely, the people are sorry, something. They are the children are addicted to this stuff. Wait, hold on. I'm hearing this thing playing in the background in the world. Hold on 1 second. So when you have these conversations, they're very pertinent. Hold on 1 second. Oh, here is the video. Let me go ahead and share this video real quick before we proceed. Give me 1 second, because these young ones act like they didn't hear me. All right. So let's go ahead and watch this real quick, and then we're going to proceed. These are the type of informative shock value videos that we need, so we can understand this is what the children, even if the adults, this is what the children, they get a little money, they go to the store, they ain't nobody watching, this is what they're exposed to, right? Let me know if you can hear it, by the way.
Let's see what's inside Blue Takis. It starts with corn flour, then vegetable oil, then seasoning, which consists of maltodextrin, citric acid, sugar, potassium chloride, which is usually a flavor enhancer or a stabilizer or a thickener, salt, monosodium glutamate, which is MSG, hydrolyzed soybean protein, natural and artificial flavors, hydrolyzed yeast, which apparently improves nutrient digestion and absorption, soybean oil, onion powder, blue one lake, which is a food coloring or a food dye, sodium bicarbonate, chili pepper, disodium inosinate, which is a flavor enhancer, disodium guanylate, which is another flavor enhancer, TBHQ, which stands for tertiary butyl hydroquinone. It's probably used to extend the shelf life and to prevent rancidity. So there's 19 ingredients in just one Taki. Let's see what's inside Blue Takis. It starts with corn flour, then vegetable oil, then seasoning, which consists of maltodextrin, citric acid, sugar, potassium chloride, which is usually a flavor enhancer or a stabilizer or a thickener, salt, monosodium glutamate, which is MSG, hydrolyzed soybean protein, natural and artificial flavors, hydrolyzed yeast, which apparently improves nutrient digestion and absorption.
Oh, I had turned it on mute. Let's continue here. Putin Mom says he's asking him why is he picking it up. Big question is why is he selling it? Yeah, and that's what's happening is that they're going to sell what moves, right? They're going to be like, they're in it to make business. So they're selling what moves. And they're marketing it to oftentimes people who live in these food deserts, right? Where there's not access to certain foods. And it is these dry goods and these type of foods that they're consuming on high sugar foods and high starch foods on a constant. Let's continue. Where are we? So they over here telling you, and I like to, again, there's a chart. I have to go look for the chart for how many of these companies are the same people. Like I said, Naked, you think it's a smoothie drink, but in our reality, it's PepsiCo, right? You think Laura Bar used to be a health bar, but again, when you look at it, it was dates and pure sugar. I used to eat it, but I couldn't eat a lot of it because it was pure sugar, right? It wasn't balanced. But now they shrunk it because General Mills is looking to cut corners, and it's still on the market, but not as much as it used to. So anytime they see something making waves, they're going to come and gobble it up. 97. In 1985, Philip Morris joined the market as well, purchasing and Bragg's liquid aminos, not liquid aminos, Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Recently, Bragg's apple cider vinegar, early back in the day, everybody knew about Bragg's apple cider vinegar. Then all of a sudden, the quality of it changed. You no longer saw the mother of pearl. It was way too clear. That means they wasn't giving it enough time to ferment and do what it needs to do. It sold. It was acquired. Here it is right here. The world's top producer of apple cider vinegar has been acquired by an investor group led by private equity firm Swander Pace Capital. There are rumors that Katy Perry, Orlando Bloom, and sometimes people say, what's the next guy name again? What's the next? Bill Gates has something to do with it, right? But all we know is these two old people on the thing. They that's not where it is no more. So they're saying Bill Gates did not acquire it, but again, that's the rumor that has been out there. Okay, but it is no longer in the hands of the people who initially started it, which is the way that many of this stuff continues to go. Yeah, I agree. He's asking him, why are you picking it up? As if he didn't pick it up, who else would be picking it up, right? So I agree, but it just speaks to how people grow with these addictions and how it didn't just happen. So for instance, the problem I'm having so far with this lawsuit, it's not naming one particular thing or two particular things. Did the young man eat food from every one of these people that's named in the lawsuit? Like, and what products did he eat that caused the diabetes? You know what I mean? I don't know where they're going with this. So that's why I'm going to continue to read. In 1985, Philip Morris joined the market as well, purchasing General Foods for $5.6 billion. And it's important to note that one of the first crash crops, actually, if not the first cash crops in America during enslavement, was tobacco. So this Philip Morris conversation is long money. It ain't no hurry come up money. This is the first monies they was getting off of tobacco manufacturing, tobacco sales, right? Until they eventually, they did a whole campaign later on in the 1900s to bring in women, because at first they were like, oh, it's unladylike to smoke, and they did a whole like psychological campaign. What did they call it again? Torches of Freedom. Let me know if you guys heard about that. They called it Torches of Freedom, right? And then they did a whole psychological campaign about how smoking was sexy, and that women should do it. Don't ask me how I know all of these odd, weird things, but just rock with it. Just rock with it. It's all good. Okay. So let me just give this to you right quick so that we understand that this is long game money. Torches of Freedom was a phrase used to encourage women smoking, same thing, by exploiting women's aspirations for a better life during the 20th century. They was like, ooh, we need to expand our market. We already told these women it is not ladylike for them to be in here smoking. You understand what I'm saying? But now we gonna zippity doo out them, and so that they can come in and want to smoke, and then we gonna get more of a market share. That Edward Bernays, the father of PR, right? It was PR stunt designed by Edward Bernays, who hired a young woman named Bertha Hunt to light a Lucky Strike cigarette in the crowded Fifth Avenue during the Easter Parade of 1929. Funny enough, after 1929, the stock market goes clicky clicky, which is curious. Wait, stock market crash, what day? It crashed 1929. It began to crash October. So homie does this around March and April, and just later that year, because remember, people going smoking because, they stressed. Now you got a whole new market who wasn't smoking before, spending their crackers money on cigarettes. Cigarettes were described as symbols of emancipation and equity with men. If you're interested in that, check out that thing is crazy, the Torches of Freedom conversation. But let's continue. So I say that to say this tobacco money is not new money. Let's get back over here. 1998, shortly after the acquisition and merger of Kraft, a Philip Morris executive explained, in the U.S. home market, Kraft General Foods is the largest food company overall and is number one in all of the major retail grocery chains, dry grocery, refrigerated, and frozen. It is also the second largest player in food service distribution. Both companies bring strong brand franchises to the combination, and KGF will, we think, account for something like 18 of the 50 grocery store brands. 99. Philip Morris CEO stated that today, with the acquisition of Kraft, we manufacture and market more than 3,000 food, beverage, and tobacco products. Around the same time, another Philip Morris executive boasted, you can now have a complete meal of Philip Morris foods and beverages, followed by, of course, by one of our cigarettes. So when I say that, because, Lala, welcome to the conversation, when the masculine energy who's looking to exploit and profit off of people's everyday function of eating and nourishing their bodies, and the only thing they see is bottom line, this is what this greed, this desire for acquisition and domination in such a component of human life that is necessary to survival, as we're seeing, is the reason that people are so falling over themselves in the healthcare industry, because they gave up their own rights to nourish and feed themselves and put it in the hands of somebody who could care less except for the bottom line. I can't make this stuff up, but let's continue. Homie said you could have a complete meal, a beverage, plus a cigarette, all on them. 100. The combined company dominated the market in 20 food categories, had 32 food brands that exceeded 100 million in sales. Philip Morris conquered even more of the US food market in 2000 when it acquired R.J. Reynolds' former food business for $18.9 billion. Food business is a huge business. Huge. It integrated and merged the R.J. Reynolds food companies with its own, creating a company with 73 brands exceeding 100 million in sales. So this one company, you think say you go to do, and them have over 73 brand where you don't know say them same one. The same factory where I produce the one where you said, "Chum, me no want to eat that," is the same factory that's producing the poison one. Collectively, the big tobacco companies dominated the U.S. food environment for decades. Defendants Kraft Heinz, Mondelez, Post Holdings are direct descendants of Philip Morris and or R.J. Reynolds. Mm, 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 mm. Part 2. Fruits of the poisonous tree. Big tobacco infects our food environment. And that's why when you can go overseas, some of the things, there's some people who are doing what what's in the ingredients, like for instance, in Heinz ketchup or in some other things in the US versus the UK. Certain things that is in the food in the US are not in the food in the UK because it's banned. Certain additives are banned. But in the US, those things are added into the food supply, right? So that's why you usually see food and drug, the two of them, the side by side, they each up like Batty and Bench, right side of them one another, because it's one in the same if you're not mindful. But let's continue. Turning your food into cigarettes. Big tobacco used cigarette addiction science to develop ultra processed foods, or UPF, and hack the human brain. 103. Big tobacco's conquest of the US food environment was much more than a coincidental byproduct of diversification. Instead, as explained by Philip Morris, director of applied research, the purpose of these acquisitions was for big tobacco companies to control all of the pleasure drugs that are not regulated. So when you see my 600-pound life, when you see people addicted to food, when you see surgery, because people now cannot even control. When you watch these things, and I've watched them for my research, of course, and I'm like, what is going on? Like, there's something in the brain that's not working that someone can consume all what 10 persons supposed to consume in one sitting. What they're asserting is that it is chemical and it is intentional. It's something. That's what I do know. But let's continue. 104. R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris did not operate their food companies as wholly independent entities, but instead rapidly integrated them into the pre-existing tobacco companies. As a result, there was a systematic transfer of people, knowledge, information, and technologies from big tobacco to the food and beverage industry in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. What? Me don't know how people now cover this. This supposed to talk, this supposed to scream from the mountaintop, man. R.J. Reynolds' biochemical and biobehavioral R&D group coordinated design of new cigarette and food formulations, including analysis of flavors and additives that could be used in tobacco and food products, and biological activities resulting from consuming such products. 107. Although this group became involved in the design and assessment of UPFs, the original purpose of R.J. Reynolds' biochemical and biobehavioral group was to generate, quote, information on the biochemical and biobehavioral aspect of tobacco use. This information creates a corporate advantage through usage in product design. This is about 10 lawsuits in our one, brother. In my humble opinion, but let's continue. 108. To put this into plainer English. Plainer? I not think plainer. Who write that? Plainer? Anyway, the goal of R.J. Reynolds and Biochemical and Biobehavioral Group was to understand the addictive qualities of its cigarettes and use this knowledge to design more addictive products. All right, you said that already. Come no man, give me something else now. 109. R.J. Reynolds spent hundreds of millions of dollars a year on research and development, opportunities affecting cigarettes and food. These include biobehavioral research into the electrical response of the, what is this? Trigeminal nerve in rats, the biological basis of the response of humans to inhaled chemicals, the structural requirements for the perception of both bitter and sweet, and detailed analysis of the effects of partial removal of salivary glands on eating and drinking behavior. Merciful Father. What kind of something I go on, yassa? Philip Morris organized the Philip Morris Company's Technical Synergy Group to disseminate formulation and marketing research to its food companies. Una didn't know about this? Research and technology was coordinated through Philip Morris Worldwide Operations and Technology Organization to ensure that the world-class research and development, quality assurance, and science are available and applied globally to Philip Morris USA, the tobacco operations of Philip Morris International, and the domestic and international food operations of Kraft Foods. Usually when you think of Kraft, you just think of macaroni and all and something there. But some of the Kraft products, just to judge this up here, let's just look at some Kraft product list here. Hold on there. Let's just look at, this is their website. So they keep talking about Kraft. Here are some of the list of, this is Kraft website. Kraft Heinz, brands people love. Kraft, Heinz, Oscar Mayer, and you know the sulfites and the additives in, it's already been proven that a lot of these sandwich meats and a lot of the hot dogs have carcinogenic additives. Or either, I think that may be the potato people. Macaroni, Classico, you see a lot of that on the what is something name? On the tomato sauce. Velveeta, Smart Ones, Capri Sun, Kool-Aid, Data Poison, because the additives in Kool-Aid, the colorants in Kool-Aid are carcinogenic. Philadelphia cream cheese, Jello, Maxwell House, them all gone in a Weight Watchers with Heinz. So these are some of the ads. And then you see them worldwide grip. Australia, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, they're in China, Czech Republic, Denmark, Finland, France. So this is not just a US thing. They're in the UK. And look how much they are in America. Let's look at some of these things. A1 Steak, Back to Nature Meal, Bagel Bites, Cool Whip, the sauces, Jello, more Kool-Aid again, all of the cheese, Lunchable, that for that way, Maxwell House, Taco Bell rated, TGI Friday, hey. Anywho, this is the stovetop, like a stovetop stuffing. So again, it's coming from all directions, okay? It's coming from all directions. Let's go ahead and jump back over here. Each one, teach one. Many years ago, we used to go over these lists. First of all, the Torah tells us what we can eat, what we can't eat, what's clean and unclean. So that in of itself gets rid of a lot of these products. But there's still some people who are like, well, it's kosher, it's clean, but it has all of these additives. So it's still not healthy. It's still not something that you will want to consume, right? This is the levels one has to get to when dealing with these type of foods, right? These box foods, very minimally. You're going to have to go back to boiling and preparing your food yourself. Anywho, wish I would know. Philip Morris held formal synergy meetings to coordinate formulation and market research across subsidiaries, including brain research on sensory perception, artificial intelligence models designed to drive customer behavior. So you see them putting the stuff at the front. Uh-oh, how we jumped. Sorry. You see them putting more stuff at the front. You see them inundating you. You see them bombarding you. Anytime you go to the supermarket, if it's a big supermarket, they stay arranging and rearranging, arranging and rearranging. They want to make sure it's in your face. They want to make sure you see it. They want to make sure you buy. They want to make sure you consume. They want to make sure you keep coming back. I was there just today. I was tempted to start taking pictures of the people's cart, but I was like, nah, because I'm like, every day we go to the store, we make a choice. And when you have mere soda, mere artificial stuff in the cart, mere everything, you're like, bro, are we even cognizant? It's at that point, it's like mindless, doing this stuff very mindlessly. Anyway, 113. Philip Morris scientists studying nicotine impact on the brain regularly collaborated with Kraft and General Foods. For example, Dr. Frank Galota was Philip Morris' brain scientist. Philip Morris had a brain scientist. A brain scientist. Let me close some of these things here. A brain scientist. And it says, a secret Philip Morris addiction laboratory in Germany. He supervised the Galota's research included using electrodes on human scalps to understand the impact of nicotine consumption on the human brain. Where did they get these pictures from? He became integrated in the company's food operations after the acquisition of General Foods and Crafts. This is some sci-fi madness, yeah. So not the electrodes on the brain. Y'all see this? What in the world? Galota noted in 1990 that an understanding of the chemical senses is critical in the developing new products. Recently, interest in our studies have been expressed by Kraft USA and General Foods USA. Galota collaborated with Dr. Pamela Scott Johnson, a physiological psychologist and senior research scientist in the Taste Fundamentals program. Wow. She studied the fundamental mechanism involved in the perception of taste and included using brainwave computer system on live rats to see how nerve transmit messages related to various fat and fat substances. No, sir. I wouldn't get them picture you from. Then I'll put one microchip in the rat head. No, sir, I can't. This thing I turn my stomach. While this research initially focused on the electrophysiological response of the quarter tympani nerve to various fats, Galota recommended this be extended to also investigate the vagus or the, here they go now, glossopharyngeal, glossopharyngeal and trigeminal nerve response to tastings that would be of mutual benefit to Philip Morris and Kraft General Foods. And it's interesting, as I was doing some of this research and to see exactly to what they're speaking about, the diet is geared towards fats, sugars, and sometimes sour. And the reality is, without activating the research I came across, I haven't shared it as yet, but that without activating other sensory tastes like bitterness, they're organs within our system. And the old time people know this, like, drink this is good for you. There's organs within our system that have sensory receptors, that have receptor sites for these tastes, like bitter, right? So when we don't activate them because our diet is inundated with the sugars and the fats and the salts, that causes some type of ailment to begin to develop. That's for another day. I had the thought, and as I began to do the research, I came across a number of peer-reviewed articles that kind of spoke to this. But surprise, surprise, it wasn't from over here. It was articles from other countries and doctors who explored this thought process. So you see that they have doctors on board, and you see that they're exploring how to make it more addictive. So in the same way they're doing that, we can also reverse engineer the conversation to wellness as well, right? 118. Philip Morris and Kraft Chemical Sense Program collaborated on what is this? Gustatory electrophysiology and designed collaborative studies of mutual interest to the cigarette and food operations. I think they were just using this young boy to have this conversation because we ain't heard about what happened to this dude yet. I don't know how old he was. I don't know when he started. I don't know nothing yet. Okay. It says Galata also educated company food scientists on the use of nasal event related potentials in flavor evaluation. Dr. Andrade was a physiological psychologist who would rise to become one of Kraft's top research executives. He conducted research into human perception of taste, smells, cognitive and behavioral factors, as well as how opiate receptors in the brain mediate the hunger drive. Bro, some Cersei, some washout. We have to reset. We have to reset with taste buds. What happens is when our taste buds and our get over inundated with something, so it is difficult oftentimes for people to stop because as they're saying, they made it addictive intentionally. So a reset, this is why you see certain people talk about fasting, cleansing, clearing your palate, resetting. A reset needs to take place. And if you notice, if you fast, you go on a liquid fast, or if you fast, you will be able to, when you come back and you taste something, you'll be like, oh wow, that's too sweet. You'll be able to know that it's too sweet. But if you're eating it on a continual without a break, you won't know it's too sweet, or you won't know that it's too salty. Philip Morris and Kraft General Foods collaborated on research into the molecular basis for odor, flavor recognition, and molecular, cellular, and organ-related signal transduction. All of this for money? All of this for money? Come talk to me, man. All of this for money? Something wrong here. Yo. I only did something wrong. 121. A confidential internal memo explained the rationale. Quote, many consumer attributes of our products manifest themselves via response to the chemical stimuli, flavors, odor, textural components in these products. I mean, that's in nature. All they're doing is they're taking what naturally occurs in nature. You smell a mango, you look at it, you see the flavor, you taste the flavor, you go on eat more mango. You understand? But they're like that. They're doing it for their products to induce you into eating and consuming more of what's not good for you. I mean, you're not just going to eat and eat and eat and eat and eat mango till you're sick. There's a mechanism inside that says, okay, chill, no more, right? So they're trying to me, it sounds like they're trying to bypass it. The biological interpretation, modulation, transduction of these stimuli signals share common pathways critical for normal human performance. 122. The reason for these collaborations was clear. In a meeting discussion, chemosensory and electrophysiology research collaborators between cigarette and UPF division Philip Morris, director of consumer, explained. He been doing a lot of talking, no? Let me see how I'm gonna read what he said. And we're gonna go just a little more, because some of this stuff. Some of this stuff. When we talk in terms, not we, them, when they talk in terms of what they are selling the consumer, they don't talk in terms of cigarettes. They talk in terms of benefits. They talk in terms of effects. What does someone get when they smoke a cigarette? A tube that's white on one end and cork on the other. In a lot of cases, you set fire to. Well, nobody's going to pay money for that. What they pay money for is what they get out of it. They need some satisfaction and whatever else that they do. Now, that certainly doesn't limit it to cigarettes, but in order to figure out intelligently what products could be offered that may appeal to a larger group than just smokers, i.e., products that don't offer the perceived negatives to non smokers of a cigarette, but still provide some of the benefits that smokers can enjoy. So they're like, cigarettes are not your thing. Let me get you addicted to this bonbon, basically. They think they have to understand just how it works. Philip Morris understood that since consumer products present an extracellular stimulus to the consumer, and the objective of this research endeavor is to optimize the response of our products on the consumer, the stimulus response mechanism is an obvious area of focus. So that's why they be lying. If you ever look at how it's made, or if you ever look at some of these commercials, and then you look behind the scenes, they have a lot of that on YouTube. That's not even real food. But it's the sensory response, what you see, what you perceive. That's why when you go to the store or you go to the fast food joint, it don't look nothing like what they told you. Because some of that is like the chicken. They took varnish and put on the chicken. The the pancakes don't be real. There's motor oil on the pancakes instead of what do you call it, maple syrup. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those behind the scenes commercials, but it's interesting to watch that even the commercials, they use whipped cream for ice cream, or not whipped cream for ice cream, so that it doesn't melt during the shot. So even what you're seeing is not real. The stimulus response area, also called signal transduction, relates to the mechanism by which extracellular stimuli elicit both transitory and lasting response or effects. Okay, let's see here. But they were not the key to Philip Morris's. Okay, so let's jump down. 125. Frank Gallotta explained about the senses of taste, smell, and touch. None of these matter a diddly. Not diddly. If you don't have the effects in the brain, these are only pleasurable because of the consequences in the brain. In other words, the purpose of all this research on brain waves and nerves conduction was not to determine how to make UPF more flavorful. Big Tobacco conducted this research to understand how to hack the physiological structure of the human brain and override the body's natural mechanisms for resisting UPF. So, yo, brethren, what kind of Dr. Spawn evil situation are going here, sir? What the heck? All for money, stocks, compound yearly dividends. Yes, all of that. So now you're like, oh, you need healthcare, oh, you need drugs, oh, you need this, oh, you need that. Same time, it's get them sick on one end, give them the drugs on the other end. Same time. A lot of people don't want to hear this. They would rather run down everybody else. We need to hear this because the reality is, based on what this report is saying, this lawsuit is saying, this is systematic. These guys spent billions of dollars on research and development to find out how to circumvent the human body's natural defenses so that you can consume more of that which is going to compromise your integrity, your structural integrity, your immunity, everything. This is wild stuff, man. This is diet. Like Oliver said, this is a low down doggy shock. 127. As a clear example of this, Philip Morris and Kraft conducted joint research into drivers of acceptance, mood, or satiety drinkability that are usually not consciously perceived, but are perceived at the receptor level. Pheromones. This research was identified as, quote, of common interest to beer, food, and tobacco. The man them said drivers of acceptance, mood, or satiety or drinkability. Some of these drinks, even like you go to some of these stores, the amount in that drink there, when you can say super size you, or you can do regular size or super size. The amount where you drink in that one drink, they have tricked you. This is what, to me, they found a way to trick the human mind and body to consume more than the 8 ounces you would normally consume and 16 at any one sitting, and encourage them to drink more and more and more so that they can increase profits. Who is doing this stuff? Who is doing this stuff? Hold on one second. Sometimes when you oh, people are wild, Jed. Don't stop. Hold on there. Wait. This stuff is wild. And the reality is, cuts off the other people natural production in their own country. And the reason why the food becomes so expensive in other countries is because you're importing them. So the people who grow, Jamaica, you grow your own food. The Caribbean grow their own food, but no, you got to import these poisonous foods. Why? Why? Why am I watching somebody spend 600 US at the grocery on nothing but imported food that's nothing but poison? Why? Here, this is one of the things. This is one of the. I'm not going to what you call it. I just want to show you how based on the research, this is the trickery. This is the magician trickery that's going on, right? I don't know if you guys have seen these type of things, but them usually watch. I'm like, why y'all watching these things? But then I'm like, yo, did they just do that? So let me just rewind a little bit just to show how they trick the mind. They spend millions of dollars in ads. The young youth them sit on and watch it, and it's not even real. Look how they stuck that joint to make it look like it's standing up. Master magician. Oh, this is the one. Check out the uncooked chicken, the salmonella chicken. Okay, Snow White, we're done with it. We're not biting like a poison apple. Let's go back over, yes or no. I read just a little bit more. They had a protest on the same topic that England regulates the U.S. food from coming in with all the banned chemicals. Yeah, yep. There's things that show you what is allowed, what the differences of foods that like are banned in England, or ingredients. Foods banned in Europe, but not here. Here it goes. Let me just really quickly. Stuff like this. American foods that are banned in other countries. 15 foods that are banned in Europe. Right? And you wonder, legal ingredients in the US products banned in Europe. So even when you leave and go to other countries, you'll be like, oh, this is the same thing. But the reality is it's not the same thing because they're not allowed to put certain things in there. Let me see here. All right, sir. You now get me Oh, well, go on there, so sir, wish out your shirt there. Yo, these YouTube videos is getting wilder. Who wants to see Gramps without the shirt though? So this one goes into showing you the stuff that they put in bread that's banned, the stuff that's put in certain prepackaged foods. Could it pour chicken? So if you're interested in this stuff, go ahead. Certain things that's in Mountain Dew. Again, Surgeon General warning. Look at this. Something in a special K. Okay. Even if you look at the special K box, and then I'm going to continue. Hold on one second. It's been banned in Denmark and discouraged. Even though they're claiming it's the healthiest on the shelf, they're banning and discouraging it. Peep game. They claim it only has 3 grams of added sugar. but it's 17 grams of carbs that turns into sugar. Yeah. So this is way more, and how much is a serving is way less than the people is actually eating. So they market it as healthy, but it's really not. It's really not. They was giving us cookies for breakfast. Let me get over here and read a little bit more of this thing, and then we gonna boogie. Oh, bless your name, Mustai. Okay. Kraft and Philip Morris scientists applied their combined expertise in brain science and sensory transduction to develop UPF foods. The research was used to shape people's perception of hunger and fullness, known as satiety, like you satiated, in order to promote overconsumption of their UPFs. So it bypassed the, semi full, that lever they broke. The full lever broke. So you nyam and nyam and nyam and nyam and nyam. The reality is we're not supposed to nyam to where it's like, oh, you gotta loosen your belt, oh, my belly I bust. But that's where some of this stuff get you eaten to. 129. Kraft and Philip Morris jointly use neuroimaging, understanding how olfaction and gustatory information is coded, identify receptor subtypes, and technologies relating to chemoreception and transduction genetics and molecular biology and molecular imprinting polymers. This research was used in UPF food formulation and in the creation of, quote, designer odors and flavors and the production of novel aroma compounds. That's why anything we say artificial flavor, artificial color, and know them all say natural flavor and natural color. I lie. Because if it is, then you should be able to tell me what it is. If it's colored by turmeric, then tell me that. If it's colored by beets, then tell me that. Right? So when they say natural, blah, 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 I lie. I lie. No natural about it. Some of these flavors that is getting derived from beaver behind. Beaver, because I know it sounds sensational. Beaver, I think, yeah, here. The beaver, what part of the beaver again is used to create natural additives? Hold on. Here. Here, let me give you a little something. Beaver vanilla. You better make sure you're getting that real vanilla from Madagascar. Oh, so that fake vanilla, also known as castoreum, is a natural flavoring that comes from the castor sacs of beavers. What is a castor sac? It is used to enhance the flavor of vanilla and has been used in food and perfume for centuries. However, its use is now exceedingly rare, and the typical consumer is unlikely to encounter castoreum in foods. How we know? How we know? How we know? Beaver vanilla? And who did that research? Who explored the beaver's castor sacs to determine, hey, you know what? This is a great place to get artificial vanilla. So basically, it's the beaver's reproductive organs, a substance secreted by the male and female Alaskan Canadian beaver. Man, this stuff is nasty, man. Let me this natural flavors. Who, yo, Jen, I got to do that, yeah. Ay, 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 ay. You say you're a long time? That is crazy. It's crazy. Mad. You know, one time them I sang Mad Sick Head No Good. That's what I feel like right now. But anyway, we're shot with it now. These and similar technologies and research were broadly applied to product formulation in Philip Morris UPF division, which later became defendants Kraft Heinz, Mondelez, and Post Holdings. Knowledge of the brain's physiological functions was used to hack the human brain and to formulate UPF products that would evade people's bodily mechanisms for controlling intake. UPF products, hold on, also directly incorporate tobacco additives in their formulations. For example, R.J. Reynolds used the tobacco company's tobacco flavor library to create beverage formulas. Starting from our knowledge of flavors we already produce or have in flavor library, not the flavor library. The stated goal is to leave people wanting more. On information and belief, defendants Kraft Heinz, Mondelez, Post Holding continue to engage in these formulation strategies. So we're going to stop there because now we're on B. Big Tobacco's addiction science permeates the rest of the UPF industry. We're going to stop there because that's a lot. I think I saw somebody was in Congress hollering, and I'm like, well, I guess that's why the law firm stepped out and sued. I don't know if it was Bernie Sanders, but it was somebody hollering about what's going on in this industry and how that the people were being cowardice by not addressing the matter. And then, you know, I know this to do this research, they've been working on it for a while, but out pops this lawsuit. And I think the lawsuit is less about the young man because we haven't heard about him yet, and more about wanting to find the inroads to dealing with this particular situation. I was trying to see if I could see the young woman who was shopping in Jamaica because I was like, what in the world? What in the world? Why are we buying all of this stuff? It's not a flex, but I can't seem to. I can't see. Okay, here's a perfect example. Check.
Me because in order for me to get through
We just read it,
come make
right?
coffee with me because in order for me to get through this day, I am needing a double shot espresso right now. Yes. And yes, that is about 5 or 6 pumps of vanilla. Why? Because it's my coffee and it's the best coffee ever. As I'm sitting there waiting patiently for it to get to where it needs to be. Look at the cream. You know, I got the oat cream, and we cannot have an iced coffee without the cold foam and the caramel. And wait, yes, the cinnamon and sugar. Yes, look at that. It looks so good. And I'm going to take a sip and I'm going to be like, yes, now I can get through the rest of this day. Thanks for watching.
Let me know if you guys heard that because it speaks to what the accusation is. Like, you formulated these things to be addictive. She's like, yeah, she took 4 pumps of vanilla. Yeah, she put caramel cream on it. Why? Because it's her coffee. So the lawsuit is asserting that, listen, you guys formulated this thing intentionally, and now these people are mindlessly doing things that are harming them. And she sounds like she's addicted. She says she needs this coffee. Let me know if you heard it. She needs this coffee to get through the day, but she's not just drinking coffee. All that she's adding onto it is what in the long run is going to contribute to some type of health disparity, some type of health breakdown, right? But this is just one example of, and I didn't even mean, this is not what I was looking for. But this is what came up. Let me play it again.
Come make coffee with me because in order for me to get through this day, I am needing a double shot espresso right now. Yes. And yes, that is about 5 or 6 pumps of vanilla. Why? Because it's my coffee and it's the best coffee ever. As I'm sitting there waiting patiently for it to get to where it needs to be. Look at the cream. You know, I got the oat cream, and we cannot have an iced coffee without the cold foam and the caramel. And wait, yes, the cinnamon and sugar. Yes, look at that. It looks so good. And I'm going to take a sip and I'm going to be like, yes, now I can get through the rest of this day. Thanks for watching.
Okay, I think I found.
Come make coffee with me because in order for me to
We
get
ain't
through
making
this
no more
day,
coffee with you. We don't want no. Wait, hold on. I found. I think it's a sister name. And we're not picking on nobody. It's just to see when I saw how much of foreign food have reached Jamaica and the islands and how the people are consuming it. I'm like, it's a bad play. Wait, hold on. Here it is.
Come with me, guys, to do my last grocery shopping of the year. This is my final shopping because I now go back to supermarkets until at the end of January. At one time I did this voiceover, so that you may make no mistake, but promise you know I can read. Alright, so I start off with
All
the tea
foreign.
stuff
Well,
first.
that's
So
the
I get ginger
except the
tea,
tea.
some tea mix, I get some mocha. I take my pick up what
Foreign
is that again?
product.
Coffee cream. I pick up a pack of banana chips as well. Me get that for somebody. Pick up 2 Lasco, a frosted flakes, 3 a Surge cow's milk,
Foreign
a Fruit
products.
Loops,
Foreign
as well
products.
as a cinnamon toast crunch. And you know, I'm not leave out the true shake because I stream
Foreign
it by this
products.
time. 1 almond milk, and then I picked up the
More
Downy
foreign products.
Unstoppable, Downy Concentrator, and then I use the salve for when you know it's my time of the month, a Lysol cleaning spray, as well as a washing soap from Ariel. I pick up 2 of the Glade air freshener because a long time I didn't see the Airwick, as well as the Airwick stick ups and the Colgate mouthwash. 1 springtime washing.
So this is just a lot of the foreign. Like you live on an island where when people come from foreign to go, they're like, oh, they can't wait to eat the food. But it's nothing but products that's coming from foreign that has all of these agents in there for the most part. Kraft, they go on the list, right? I just think it's curious what's happening. Let me know what your thoughts are about what's happening, not only in the marketplace, but just with the everyday people and how that's also foreign, Iberia, and how they are consuming this, regardless of culture, regardless of background. Because earlier on in this lawsuit, they were talking about other countries. This is not happening in other countries. But if the food is going to the other countries, then yes, it is also happening in the other countries as well, right? So yeah, I saw this and I was just like, wow, Matt, there you go. There go the culprit again. Those Maggie seasonings, by the way, those pre-box seasoning, the amount of sodium and additives, silica, and everything else that's in these seasonings, just make your own seasoning. So part of this is what the companies are doing. And as we can see, part of it is what the consumers continue to choose to do. There goes another culprit right there. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put my screen back up because it's just a lot going on right now. For those who've just joined us, welcome to the conversation. If you're wondering what we're talking about, I have already read the second portion in this particular lawsuit today, right? I've already read it, so you might have to go back to the beginning. The lawsuit is on For the People. It is, let me put a mark here. It is on Morgan & Morgan's website. They filed it last week or week before last. I think it's on the 11th, and it's suing 11 major food companies. And so we're going through it and really having this very important conversation about what's going on and why it's important, because food, drink, and the things that we're consuming definitely have an effect on how we think, how we move, how we act, how we learn, how we grow, all that stuff, right? So with that said, let me know if anybody has anything to say. If not, I'm going to go ahead and boogie. These people went in like, this is giving a long time on our plan this thing. That's what it's giving. I just see in the meantime, I don't remember. I think it was Bernie Sanders. Hold on 1 second. And it's getting so out of hand. Oh, this is interesting. Here it is. Here it is. No, that's too long. I'm not going to play that. I think it's Bernie Sanders who was going in on them. This is the longer one here where I'm going to show my screen one more time real quick. But I'm going to see if Here it is. This is a longer video. It takes time. It's time to take on the greed of the food and beverage industry. This was 2 weeks ago, but that journey's too long, 1 hour. So you can check that one out. And then this was 3 months ago, where he's comparing the processed food industry to tobacco industry, which is curious because then pop, 3 months ago he's been having this conversation. Many people have been having this conversation, but he calls out certain people to say like, yo, why y'all not coming for these people? And then boom, out pops a lawsuit, right? I think it's curious. I think there's more to come. I think we should pay attention. Like, this is the stuff that affects us every day. I know other stuff may be more salacious and more titillating to the senses and the thoughts, but this right here, if you have children, grandchildren, anybody to come, this right here, we need to pay attention to. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm going to go ahead and boogie and we will talk again. All right? All right then.